Hey, let's get started. So, Python 0 to hero again. So we are already a hero. So yeah, we are going to talk about documentation today, and yeah, hopefully my streaming is going back to normal now because yeah, I don't know what happened. I think because the auto detection connect me to a server that doesn't really work with my setup, my location. I don't know. I don't know much about like how network and stuff work, but yeah, but now it's like I kind of just connected to a server in UK, and it seems fine. And yeah, hopefully the streaming quality would just stay stable and won't get worse. um, yeah, so Python Zero to Hero. This is a series that we talk about Python, learn things that together. Sometimes I talk about things that I've been doing or I just wanted to do, and so yeah, we actually go through a lot of Python topics in the past. I think it has been a few months now since I started, and yay, and really happy that because hello Juke Mag, hello. Hello, hello. Yes, great that you came here and learn about Spain. And yeah, like it was a great surprise that in EuroPython Naomi mentioned this channel. And thank you so much. And yeah, hopefully we'll just like be learning more about Python. I think we are now like going into more like specific topic about Python. So you see, like we're talking about documentation, and I think when I'm running out of like very broad general topic, I'll just go into maybe like each library and things like that. Just talk about very specific things. So I like doing the recap. I like putting. Oh, my background is weird now. Ignore it. Okay, it's just some funny background shadow there. I don't know whether I can fix it by turning my light or make it brighter, but then my face will be too bright. I don't know. Yeah. So yeah, that's better. I like putting the recap together because kind of see how far we have go. Sometimes I would just like make things shorter because I won't be able to like list all the objects anymore. I think I'm running out of space. Um, yeah, we learned a lot since we started this series, and I'm really happy. That's why I like keeping this here. What we have covered and what we're gonna cover next. So, my cursor. Okay, right. So today is going to be about documentation. I think it's a topic that a lot of people overlook. They will be like, "Oh, I'm here to learn coding. Why do I care about documentation?" Or just like, "Documentation is boring. Why I need to learn documentation?" Well, I think like it's just like it's difficult to stress enough that there are lots of reasons. I think that the easiest ways to say is that people need to understand your code, including yourself. If you write the code and come back after a few months, you may forget what you have done and or how it is work. So you better document it. Another thing is like, for example, when you kind of dive into more when you write a big chunk of code. So it's like, because I think everybody started somewhere, right? Everybody started with a small piece of code. It's very easy to just scroll back and forth and see what's going on. But when you kind of have a big chunk of code, or even sometimes you have multiple files, then you have to call another function or another class from somewhere else. Then you need a quick reference. Like rather than looking at other thousand lines of code, you want a quick reference about like what this does, what this module does. So because everything is broken down into module, especially when you're doing TDD, that everything is kind of like a module. So like you have to write down like what this is achieved. Like you don't have to check all the code inside this, for example, this function. You just need to know what this function do and what you'll be expecting, what you have to give to this function. Then it's helpful to actually document the quick reference instead of every time you have to go through the code and understand what it does. Avoid mistakes. Sometimes again, like when things are module like written in modules, then you would have you pass things around. So sometimes it's good to there's a topic that we should talk about maybe in the future is type annotation. So like the thing is like in Python, because we don't have a set type of we don't have a very static kind of type enforcement that because a variable could be you can store anything. You can store a string, you can store an integer, you can store anything. So it's not like in some language maybe when you declare variable you have to be very clear upfront what a type of variable each store, like what type of information that this variable is storing. So yeah, that's why like it's easy to make mistake about types and other things in Python. So that's why well, if you're not using type annotation, then the best way is to document it, like what this should be, like what I'm supposed to getting. Is it like a string that I should be getting, or is it an integer that I should be getting, or what should come back? Like, am I expecting something string? Then I can, if I'm expecting a string to come back from a function, let's say, then you could carry out other string operations, like you can call the methods, you can call those string method that I mentioned like way long ago. That then like if you are not sure about the type of that thing, like if you call let's say split function or a method on an integer, then it will get an error. So to avoid those kind of mistakes, sometimes it's good to have those mistakes because then you catch some maybe logical error in your code. But to avoid those, it's better to write down every single thing to like document what they are, what they're supposed to be. Um, so, oh my god, I have to always click back to my cursor. And yeah, it would be great if I have two screens. Now I would put the presentation on one screen and now I can monitor the OBS in one screen, but I have to switch between them. That's why it's awkward. Sorry about that. So in Python, well, I think I didn't really mention it, but you see me do that before. Using a hash in front actually make a comment, a comment which acts as a note. So a comment when it's actually universally like appear in most languages. I think except like really low level one like assembly code or something. Then like you have a way to comment stuff. This is important because well sometimes you write this logic and you want to explain to yourself or your future self or someone who look at your code that what this what are the logic behind all these operations. Why are you doing that? And so in Python, you're using a hash as a comment. So all these comments will be skipped by the interpreter, will be skipped by the compiler. So like it will be like all these actually are for human like to read. It's not for the machine to read. So they will be skipped when the machine try to read it, like execute it or interpret it. In the Python case, it's interpreted. Um, that's helpful. That's good. I think that's something that you should start doing right at the beginning when you're doing coding, when you're doing Python. But sometimes it's not good enough. Like I said, because sometimes when you go into writing a big chunk of code, you have you have everything in modules. You just pass things around. Sometimes you don't care about the code inside a module, right? You just care about like what do I get if I call this function, what do I get back, what should I give to this function. So yeah, so you won't actually necessarily read inside your other file that like, oh, what like is this function doing, reading the code and understand the code. With the help of comment you can understand the code, but sometimes you don't even want to understand it, you just want to know what am I getting back. So then in this case docstring is very helpful, even though you can still write in a comment at the beginning. Let's say like, oh, I really want to maybe like, okay, I don't want to read the code in future, then I can maybe at the beginning I just write two lines saying like what it does. You can still do that, but again, like you have to open the file and then look at it, at least like look at the beginning of it to see what it does. Docstring actually, the advantage is that it's embedded in Python itself, so it's a part of the Python object. So whenever you kind of import that object, the docstring will import together with it. So that's why it's good, because you can just see it anywhere. You don't have to open the file. You don't have to read the file. Because sometimes it could be an object from the standard library, and like you won't dive into your the the Python, the code of your Python interpreter and look at it like what was it, right? So then you need doc strings. Um, so I think the first thing that we want to do is also explain the style in docstring. It will become make sense later. I kind of debate whether I should put it at the end or put it here, but I think I will just explain a little bit here before we dive into playing with the docstring. Um, yeah, so well, the reason being because yeah, it's like but it will make sense. Don't worry. it's just like when I demonstrate, and you can see like there's actually different styles. So in docstrings, there's two common style. I would say there are actually more in this, in this link here, but it explain a little bit more. But in my perspective, there's only two major type of docstring: the Google style or the NumPy style. So most of the Python open source projects that if you go to their GitHub or GitLab or whatever, go to their source code and read it. I would bet that like the style of code string is either in Google or in NumPy style. Um, Reason being, these are the style that could be recognized by Spanx, which we will introduce afterwards. So that's why like this may make more sense if I put it at the end, and then I found it quite awkward to put it at the end. So but we can have a look at this link, which I put it here for your reference. If you want to, you can read this document. It's quite good. Real Python is a very good site to learn Python. Um, but you see here that that is kind of docstring formats. There's actually a few types, but for me it's like these two are the most important ones, the Google docstring. So this is because a lot of library follow this Google's recommendation form of documentation, and actually it's quite neat. I don't know whether this would explain it furthermore. Yes. So it says that this is how you write. I'm not so familiar with this because I use NumPy style the most. So yeah, you can see this is the Google style. So it's a little bit like a YAML file, I would say, because you have like this colon and then something. So yeah, so it's quite nice actually, but I'm just not used to it. And yeah, I'll show you the NumPy style as well. That's the style that I'm familiar with. And oops, yeah, NumPy style is oh wow, that's yeah. Actually, like you'll see more when I show you at the end. Like, cause I'll show you one of the library that I'm maintaining, and you see that is the docstring is in NumPy file, NumPy style. So yeah, like all these stuff, like NumPy, Pandas, Matplotlib, all these kind of num focus for projects, I would say, that they are actually following this style. And so the good thing I like about this is because yeah, like this is how you say the like two documented parameters, and the like what it returns. Sorry about that. Kind of yeah, I just had lunch. Um, and also use if you have a a iterator or generator. And yeah, see also as well. So yeah, I like they have like these kind of way for you to section your also example. This is very neat. Like this is exactly like a Python terminal. That you have the arrows and then you have the dots later. I don't know whether it shows it. Yeah, so like if you have everything kind of together, this is not showing everything, but yeah, I don't know whether they have a very good example in this page, but I will show you afterwards that when we have all these sections, it's very clear. You have title and then you have this. This is more like, I would say this is, it looks more like the RST style, which is RST is like how Spanx generate the web page. So that's why I really like this style. Yeah, yeah, and also you can use the REST here, so or RST, just like the file extension is RST, but it actually restructured tests, so maybe yeah, that's the abbreviation. So yeah, you can still use this to format your docstring, and yeah, it will make more sense afterwards. Actually, like I said, it may be a little bit difficult to understand for now, but we'll just go forward and we'll see. So I think the first thing I want to demonstrate how you can call a docstring from how like I'll demonstrate like what I mean by is living in the object, and how to call it when you want to check it without looking at the code like directly. So I'll just open a Jupyter notebook. So this is just like a playground. I think it's like nothing. I won't put anything very structured here, I think. So make a function, my fun. Always boring name. So I just pass because like this is the most basic function that actually does nothing. Okay, and So when I create, okay, actually let's look at what is my func, right? So if I do dir my func, uh, so this is the function that I've just created, and it got lots of things, and yeah, you can see that there's this dock here. So I don't know whether it's big enough. So let me zoom in a little bit. So yeah, you got all this stuff like a function would have, like, but it also got this. What dir actually means just means that when you, so it has a dir method that you could just like call this dir and it will give you this. So it's the same as doing this dot dir. Yeah. So it's the same thing. That's why all these stuff that you do at DIR, we see a DIR there. It's kind of like Inception. It's amazing. Init, like most things, most object, you will get an init. Also you would get a docked in it. Yeah, a dock. So this dock actually is where the doc string is sitting. So docs actually like every object in Python actually would have a dock in it. And yeah, now yeah, well, it's not a function. Now it's nothing there because we haven't put in any docstring. So we can start putting a docstring in it, and the syntax of a docstring is actually free. So you can see that it's suddenly just like create the other, because like a Jupyter Notebook and other like IDEs that they would create a pair of quotation for you. So when I type one, then it create second one, and then I type the second one, it doesn't do anything. But when I type the third one, then it recognizes that it's a docstring, and it would just create the other pair for me, other the closing one. Um, so here you can type anything. You can type this is a docstring. Okay. So yeah, it needs to be free. It can't be just like two. This will create an error here. Yeah, this will create an. Oh, it's still passed, but it should. Yeah, it should. Well, oh, okay, it's still it's still fine. But yeah, but the standard is like free. So let's just make it 3. And now I got 6. I don't need that much. Thank you. Let's just yeah. The standard is using 3, so I don't. Well, maybe yeah. Sometimes you can get away from stuff, but don't make yourself crazy just putting 3 there. That's standard, and everybody recognize that it's a docstring. Okay, so you can have multiple lines of docstrings, and you can have, let's say, parameters. Parameters. Let's say like do this. Try to mimic what the NumPy style is doing. So let's say I take nothing actually. Maybe I should take an X. This is the uh, first variable. It should be an integer. I think you put in at the front. Yeah, I forgot the style. I have to really double check. But now I take an X. Okay, so yeah, so you have this, and well, of course, this is not printing out very pretty, very pretty, because like this n, this is actually mean a line break here, and this tab thingies at the front. This is not very nice, but what we could do is that we could do a question mark my funct, I think. Yeah, right. Then you would because in Jupyter Notebook it would actually bring up a window that is showing you the docstring. So this is like it go back to this very nice format that show you what's going on. So this is how you can check a docstring of something, right? Then you can just like, oh, I know that I'm using this my func, but I don't know how to use it. So question mark my func, and it gives you the docstring. And if you write a docstring properly, let's say, now at least I know that I can put in um, an integer x here. Well, basically, but actually this function does nothing, so it's not important. But imagine, let's say this function is actually like you give you back an x square. So for example, this will return x times x. Okay, and so this is um, taking the square of a number. Okay, and you should really say return. Uh, yeah, and then you can say that return an integer that is the square of x. Okay. Then now if I run it again and run the question mark again, yeah, now I know that, okay, this my fun, actually the name is really ambiguous, but I know that now what it does is like actually taking the square of it. So now I'm confident to use my fun, because like for example I want the square of 2, that will give me 4. That's perfect. That's happy ending for everybody. Yeah, so this is like why docstring is so much better than, you can, well, basically you can put all these as a comment. But imagine you write it in a Python, file. Let's say this is I put it, no, I put it somewhere else. I put it in, yeah, new, yeah, I'm using Jupyter Notebook, so I can do all these things in it. So I love it. I can put a text file, put this in here, and I can just save as, I can rename it actually. Rename it to, what should I name it? Rename it to my ops.py. Okay. So okay, so I can just go to my Jupyter Notebook and uh, import my ops. Okay. So it would import my ops. So this time it should be my ops dot my func. What is my ops dot my func? Oh, can't find it. That's weird. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I restart the kernel. So it's a bit funky. Let me restart it. So or I can from my ops import my func. Yeah, is it correct, or did I save it? File save. Yeah. So right. So this should be fine. Now I have my func as well. So yeah, my func. Yeah, my func is a function that I call from my ops. So now I can see what is my func. Okay. And yeah, give me this. So let's close it. And so like I don't have it, so I just know that, oh, I have a function called my func that I could use. So what it is, I don't have to go to my ops and look at it. I can just like, okay, what is my func? Oh, okay, it's a square of it. Okay, fine. And then I could do this. Um, right. So this is very useful because when you have a lot of things, and imagine you have a if you call something in the standard library, let's say now I would be like import, um, maybe I would be from OS import path. So I import this path method function from OS. So what it is? So path. Okay, show me that actually is a OS.path is a module, and yeah, so it's a module. So it would do something for you, and where is this sitting at? And yeah, it should give me like lots of useful information. Or I could, what else do I have? Like from math import pi, let's say. So what it is? So what is this pi thing? And it just tell me that is a is a 3.1415 is a strain. Or what is import sign, and what is sign, and yeah, it's like a return the sign of x. Okay, so this is not like a very detailed docstring, but at least I know that it's okay. It's a mathematic. It's used in measuring radius, so maybe I could do like a sine 1. It will give me sine 1. If I do like sine 3.14, it will give me almost 0. Things like that, and yeah. So that's doctoring. That's why it's so good. But it's not everything yet. There's still something about it. Oh, and I just realized that my camera got frozen. My camera is a bit funky these days, so let me see if I can fix it. Yep, I disappeared. I reappeared. Okay, yeah. So I'm unfrozen. Yeah, I don't know why my camera go a bit crazy today. I have to maybe check. Maybe my driver need an update or something. So yeah, sorry about that. And I was frozen there for a bit. Okay. But it's not important. You just like you, yeah. The worst case, I just like turn my face off. um, yeah. So like this is docstring, okay, and let me see. Yeah. So but like you can do more things with it, and we will actually like see afterwards. So so here comes Spanx. Spanx actually makes your docstring like even better because like now, well you can use Jupyter Notebook or like I think there's also a method in other IDEs that you could also check the docstring of things, or you can just print it out like like I did before. You can print out like you can print out sign dot dork well you see this docstring back. It's not showing that much information, but you can still see it. So yeah, of course Jupyter Notebook is just super convenient. But sometimes your IDE doesn't provide that, or yeah, like you just want a reference online, right? Like that's what we do nowadays. Like we just Google stuff because we don't understand it. We Google it. Thanks for like most of us got really good internet connection nowadays. Occasionally we may not go somewhere that got good internet connection. That's why the docstring would be helpful. But most of the time you can just find things online. So how to create a documentation site for your project. For example, I write this amazing library, and then I want to really make a good looking documentation site for people to, reference to when they are, when they are writing the code. They want to know quickly see, okay, what is this function doing? Like, what should I pass it to it, and where I get the things back that I wanted. They need to go to the documentation site. And there's so many like documentation sites for Python open source or Python libraries in general. And so if like all of these library, they document everything in docstrings. So why don't we just like from the docstring and generate a documentation? Then it's actually much easier to maintain, much easier to ensure that it's updated. Because, for example, you have to rewrite this function, rewrite the code. You may change a little bit of like, oh, okay, maybe now I take one more variable. Then you would just the docstring is just below it, right? So for example, here that let's say my func here, I just like, oh, maybe it's not just the square of it. I can maybe take n, so it would take the power off instead of square. So after you have added that in, you can come here and just like edit the docstring. So it's very easy to keep a docstring up to date rather than like you have to go to another file and then change it if you store your documentation somewhere. There are other ways you can create a documentation website because it's just a website. You can create it with other methods of generating a website, right? Uh, but the benefit of writing a docstring to create an API reference is that every changes of your API, every changes of your code, because the documentation is like living together with it, so you can just like change the documentation as well. So that's the good thing. So that's why we want to generate the documentation site from the docstrings. And we have Spanx. Woo! And yeah, so what is Spanx? Well, we all know that, most of us know that, like, well, Spanx is a kind of a historical artifact in Egypt, but we're just like using the name. This library actually what it's doing is generating documentation. So I guess like hello, goose style. Hello, goose exile. Is it? Yeah. Hello, and yeah. So Spanx, I believe that the reason why they choose this name is that because in Egypt, they have all this like documenting, the history or the what happened with the king or the pharaoh or things like that. So maybe that's why I'm just like using my imagination here. Maybe that's why they use the name Sphinx for this project. But it's a very good project. It's not limited to Python actually, but it's a documentation generator that is written and used by Python community. It also used in other environments, but it's actually written in Python, so that's why it's so popular with Python. Python people, Python listers, and so the good thing about it, yeah, like I said before, it turns docstrings into a website. So you don't have to, build a website for your API reference for your Python project. It the documentation actually sitting together with your code in a docstring, and instead of like just providing a doc string, you also provide a website that reflects it. And when you see the workflow, you see why this is so good, because you can just put this Spanx operation in your CI, in your CI/CD, like so. Whenever you update your code, actually this documentation will be updated, and whenever, like for example, you change a little bit of your code and then you patch it or whatever, and then you also change the doc string, then when you push your code in GitHub, and if you set up Spanx, and then actually Spanx will will pick up the change and then build your documentation site and deploy it automatically again. So you don't have to worry about updating it. As long as you update it when you write the code, then your site will be automatically updated. How wonderful is that? Yeah, sounds like a dream to me. And yeah, the light is a little bit weird as well. Let me try to adjust it. So this is the general workflow before I bring you to the real project itself. So you write the doc string like I said before at the beginning. So you have to write the doc string because people will be referring to it. They would import the object or functions that you have written. So what I'm talking about here is about it's most useful when you have a package, a library that you've written in Python. Hello, there's more chat. Great. Yeah, Beastmonger. I'm using my phone to monitor the chat. Beastmonger. How much easier would it be for a statistically typed language? Okay. For statistically typed language, I think, you have to also document it, like I said, because if people using your library that you have packaged together, then people may not necessarily know that what type this variable it should be, right? So the thing about Python is just that, well, if the type doesn't match, you will still be able to run the code for a little bit more until it really hits an error. For example, like I said, you apply a method to like a string method to an integer, then it created a crash, or applied a string method to a non-type, then it created a crash. But for a static type, I think as long as you return back that variable, or when you receive that variable, then type doesn't match, then it will already flow an error. So I think that's the difference. And well, you can say that it's less confusing because you would catch the error beforehand. Sometimes, because Python has this like dynamic like type, that actually like the error could like propagate a little bit more. You actually pass it into another function, and then it kind of propagate a little bit until it hits an error, and then you'll be like, oh, why do I have this error? You have to trace back to where it passes the wrong type. So yeah, that's good or bad. That's why like having actually type, not just type annotation. Type annotation is more like a documentation kind of thing. But well, when you lint your code, then like actually you will find it. But you can also have kind of enforce like kind of typing in Python as well. We would actually like in the future we'll spend time talking about that. But yeah, but like so that's why it's always good to document it, because like it would create an error anyway somewhere. Actually, it's better to create an error, because otherwise you'll be like, well, my code run, but like why is it wrong? um, but yeah, like it's good to like document the type of everything. So yeah, so this workflow actually applies to a packaged library. That's something that you want people to download from pip install. And yeah, yeah. Oh, Miami, great! Wow, that's quite early for you. Thank you for tuning in. So yeah, so well, first of all, okay, I have this awesome library that I want people to download. I will package it and and put it online. But this will be another topic. I'm just focusing on documentation here. And okay, we have doc strings. I've written doc strings, so how Spanx can help me. So first of all, you call in actually another library called autodoc. This autodoc actually works together with Spanx. It's not defaultly like a part of Spanx, but a lot of people use it together, because what Spanx does is just taking the RST file and generating a website, okay? But because like you want to gather all this doc string from all your code somewhere and then put it in an RST, file. So Autodoc do it for you. It was Autodoc. You can actually tell Autodoc that, hey, I have this library sitting there. It will make more sense when I show you the real code there. But so you basically tell Autodoc that I have this file. I have all these functions and classes, and could you please grab all the doc string there for me and list it in an RST file. So Autodoc will do that for you. And the next step would be, and sorry, the lighting is really bugging me. It looks awful. And I can't make it brighter. I don't know why. Okay, maybe because my camera is not adjusting. It's fine. Okay, so and then, well, these RST pages, like I said, Spanx will generate them into HTML pages. So now you have a website, that is built and sitting in another folder that is finished building. So you can just upload this folder somewhere, and then you will have your website. Okay. So how to upload it? We call it like we deploy it. We call it deploy and deploy it to. You can do it with Read the Doc. Read the Doc is a very popular choice in hosting your Python documentation that's generated with Spanx. Online, they provided hosting and stuff. So I think it's yeah, I think it's an open source project as well, but they do have a little ad there just because like well you're using resources from them and they're not charging you, and or you can do it with GitHub Pages. Also that's also possible, because GitHub Pages also provide like free hosting, so that's amazing. Um, so yeah, I will show you actually both because well, what we did in the project is like we started with Read the Doc and then we decided to put it on GitHub Pages. So actually we have both for some reason. Um, so yeah, let me try to show you the real example. So what I'm going to do here is I have to switch back to how I do it the old way. I have the code and I have terminal and have this preview thing there. A little bit of a mess, but well, I think this is the best way of showing things. So this is like more similar to what I would really do things. Okay. Sorry about this mess here. I would just like close most of them because yeah, I'm just messy person. Sorry about that. And I'm gonna show you. Okay, so I don't know whether you can see it clearly, but like on the left hand side, you can see that we have a big project here, right? So you have bunch of code and well, bunch of environment setups, and so the most important thing here is that there is the docs here, this one, the docs, and actually here you can see that we have like, these are all the files that is sitting in for generating the documentation. So it also get its own make file. So this is actually generated by Spanx. So when you started a project, when you install Spanx, you can actually just like initialize it. Actually, can I go to documentation and show you? Actually, I think you just need to type init or something. So Spanx Python and init. Yeah, how to initialize it. There's actually a way I did it like ages ago, so I can't remember. So yeah, well, I would say that the documentation is sometimes too complicated. So, but yeah, and quick start, yes. So this is a quick start that you could start. So it will actually create that makefile for you, so you don't have to worry too much about it. And actually, I would just like zoom in and hopefully, if you want to read, you can read this. But yeah, so and it will generate this makefile for you. This or this thing here. Well, I don't know what they're doing because I didn't write it myself. um, so this is a makefile. There's also a BAT. Don't touch them. Requirements.txt is actually where you put, because like sometimes you use some like Spanx plugin. So this is what Spanx need to use. Of course Spanx, but like you can have other themes. And this Napoleon, this just help Spanx to read my um, by docstring. So I think this is also used with AutoDoc that actually like as I write the docstring in style of NumPy and Napoleon, this one can read that. So yeah, um, not very sure. Maybe I should do a Google to be sure, so I didn't give you the wrong information because I initialized this like ages ago. So yeah, preprocessor, yes, that passed the NumPy. So yeah, it passed the NumPy, the docstrings, yes, into rewritten. Okay, according to okay, so it's just basically passed my Is it? I don't know. I don't think so. Oh yeah, right. So it passes both NumPy and Google docstring. Okay. Yeah. So you need this if you're writing in NumPy or Google style docstring. So yeah. So you kind of need that, and this. So yeah. Well, unless you write it in another style. So hmm. Oh, okay. And then like the new version of Spanx actually included that, so you don't have to worry too much. It'll come packaged. Okay. Well, I don't know why I did that, but yeah. So that's how your docstring is correctly interpreted by the Spanx. It's like using some other libraries. Okay. Right. So, and here is the source. Source is kind of important because this is the building blocks of your site. So you have to provide all this for Spanx to build your site. So I'll explain a little bit like about each of them. So most important thing is the config file, and I don't know whether you can read it very clearly. So let me close this. Okay. So this is the config file. This is actually the most important file that you have to format, I think. And yeah, so well, first of all, I would always import the path because this is, remember the structure, right? It sits its own like docs thing, so it needs to tell the path to like no, like there's no code here, go up and find your because I'm in the, okay, let me bring that back up. So I, because now I'm in here, right? I'm in source, and then source is in docs, but I want it to kind of, it can see everything above it, so it needs to be able to see all this stuff. So yeah, so that's why I have to do slash dot dot here. Okay. And well, my project is terminus DB client. All these like actually these will be all like appear in your documentation thing. So I put it here. Can I show you actually how it looks like in? Yeah, I should really actually show you how it looks like when we finish. So let me go there quickly. And it's sitting somewhere in I can't remember. So I think is or do I have the, okay, I'm a bit like confusing right now. .github.io slash 7SDB client blah blah blah. Yeah, must be this one. Oh, it's not. Okay. Oh yeah, that's DB here. Sorry. Right. Yeah. Okay. So, and yeah, you can see that all this thing here. I don't know whether you can see it very clearly. It's a bit small. Is it? Let me make it bigger. I hope you can see. Okay, so all this here is generated with that thing in the config file. So this copyright and things like, so you can configure that in here in the, yeah. So and here, okay. So this is the tricky bit. This is like I trip up so many times because of this. So well, you have to provide a version of it, and well, it's just saying that the master is on at index. Well, you can call it something else, but most of the website just load index if you don't put anything at the end. So index is good. But the tricky thing is this version. So I don't want to come here and change my version every time. I want every time that you just read it from my library. So I import it because like in your library you actually, well, you may not know that, but like in your library actually you have a version there you can call. I will explain a little bit more maybe next time when I talk about the packaging. So you can just import this, right? And make it into a string because this one needs to be a string, otherwise it will complain. But the thing is that these need to come immediately before this because I was using isort before and it just like how I put it like here or something and then it won't work. It needs to be in this section. So if you're using isort, make sure you skip it. And if you're not using it, make sure that you put it in front of your version here. Okay. So yeah, this is a tiny little thing that if nobody tells you, then I'm telling you now. um, right, and then other configurations, extensions. I'm using Autodoc. Oops, I'm using Autodoc here. Okay. I'm using the RTD theme, which is the read the doc theme. I like that theme. You can see that from the right hand side, the window there. It doesn't look really like read the doc because I customize it, but actually I'm using the read the doc theme. That I'll explain a little bit more afterwards. You're also using this Napoleon extension because I wanted to read my NumPy style docstring, and Exclude patterns. I don't have any. That's fine. And this is other options. Usually just like stick with the default. I think this is the kind of the default here. I kind of comment this out because this is out of date. And yeah, so you can actually check all this from Autodoc. But this is just, I think this is quite standard. I'm just like leaving it as is. The theme, I'm using the read doc theme. A lot of things you can set here. You can set the canonical URL, which I should, I think, because we have another doc site that is sitting somewhere, but well, I'll leave it for now. You can use Google Analytics if you want to. We don't, because we don't want to capture people's cookie. Yeah, we use something else that is more GDPR compliance. And yeah, and also like you can do some like changes of the header background, do some customization, but it won't give you a lot of customization as you do like if you change the CSS, it will change the look drastically. But you can do some basic style changes here. You change the navigation depth, which is like when you open, for example, when you open this, it will open some like kind of further, and then you can, yeah. So I don't have a lot, but you can kind of set the maximum so it doesn't go, this tree diagram doesn't go like too thick, I would say. So you can set it there. Yeah, titles only, like we have a nice picture here. So nice picture here. So we don't want to use title only. We have the picture. Um, yeah, path, so it's static. I will show you what's in the folder afterward. It's just showing where you put your static files and also where you put your custom CSS. I will also show you. Um, so yeah, this is like your logo. So we are not using titles only. We have logo, so we put the logo there. So it's sitting in my static folder. Favicon as well. It's not showing very like, yeah, it's not showing here because I trimmed the navigation bar, but yeah, if you go to the site, you will see the favicon there. Okay, and okay, so let's move on to another file. Just do a quick tour. Okay. So all these the RST. So like I said, Spanx will change RST into the HTML. So this will be read by Spanx and generate your web page. And index.rst is generate index.html, which is the first page of your documentation. So here I'm just saying that create a table of content tree, and what I want is installation and modules. So you can see is if I go back here, yeah, so yeah, installation and the modules here. These are the modules that is created by Autodoc. And no, what else? And yeah, so this is also like so what you want. So this also change. I want to be able to search all this stuff here. Like for example, yeah, I can have this search page. Well, there's nothing here now at the moment. But oops, yeah, some of these doesn't work actually. I should really like change some of these indexes. Yeah, so this one work. This one is just like showing all this. So it's yes, sort by index. So it's like, for example, you know the name of your method. You can search it, or you can just find it here like a dictionary. And I rarely use them. That's why I don't care too much about them, and that's why some of them are broken. I have to fix them. And what else? Installation. Yeah. So this is basically just a page. So like if you use GitHub, right? You use GitHub, you can write a README in the style of Markdown. So but unfortunately, in Spanx, you have to write in RST. The syntax are slightly different. So instead of the hash, you use these to make it a title and this to make a subtitle. And yeah, so it's slightly different. But I mean, like, the thing is, like, what I don't like is that, for example, some of these are actually same information as the README. I want to like just import the README directly, but because the README is in Markdown, this is in RST, so it's kind of doesn't match. So it's not that great. So another thing, so let's move on to the modules. So we have all these modules. These are the modules in my library. I just put them there. And this one actually, all these are actually like linked to these four page. So these four page, actually I use the Autodoc to generate the class here. So I don't have to copy and paste all my docstring in here. So Autodoc will read this auto class and just do that for me. Similar to this auto function, it will just find that function and copy the doc string here instead of me doing it myself. So it's much easier. Yeah, so this is how like your content stored. And static. So these are the files, all these pictures. And yeah, I don't know. Oh, it's not really showing very well. Okay, but anyway, and yeah, so this is how where you store your pictures. And CSS. So this is like how you change the look of it. You can have the custom one. So I do have the original one that I grab it somewhere. I don't know what. So like I know which one I can change if I want to change the color. So yeah, so this is not necessary. So you just need like custom CSS and put the link at the config file. Um, yeah, I won't go into detail because I'm not teaching you CSS today. So nope. On templates, there's nothing in here because we are importing the read the doc templates, right? So we don't have to physically put it here because it would just install it. But if you have a custom template that, for example, you only share it among your friends and it's not uploaded somewhere in the internet, you can just put it here. Yeah, that's Spanx. And how I gotta put it on read the doc? So you need something called readthedocs.yaml. So here what it does is that it will well, most of this is turned off, so I'm not using them. I'm using Spanx. And configuration is like where is the config file sitting? I just put the link there. And yes, this is just like the Python version and the requirements. So you need this to build your documentation. So this is very simple, and read the docs will just um, you know uh, be triggered. And when you build your CI, it will be get triggered, and it will just like have your site there. So I do think we still have the read the docs site. So let me see, read the docs. I don't know. It's like how does it call .org slash. I can't remember. Yeah, it may not be this one. No. Oop, can find it. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, kind of. This is the old one, is it? Oh no, it's a new one. Okay. Yeah, so this is the read the dot one. So you can see the difference is that you got a little add here. But that's fine. Also, you got this like read the dot tabs here. So you can change different versions if you have different versions. Yeah. So you got this little nice button there, and basically other things are the same. So and yeah, so you can also get like edit on GitHub. This one is called view page source, just some tiny little difference. Yeah, so that's the read the dot one. But what we do it is like we push it in. So it's yeah, we push in our CI. So our CI is Travis. Hello, Macklin. Hello. Yep. Oh, Jumac. Oh, you're going. Okay, see you. Yeah, thank you for tuning in. Sorry, I didn't read it like until now. And yeah, hello, Macklin. Hello. And yeah, so yeah, this is our CI. This we're using Travis, and you can see that we have when we deploy it, we have this. We have one process in the deploy that we upload to GitHub pages, and well, we have the token, of course, and then yeah. So basically, it's like building Spanx. Oh, I forgot to tell you the command of building the Spanx docs. I'm going to show you in a bit. So yeah, basically here like it's just like it will run this make HTML, which is the like the command to build the Spanx doc. So it basically what this does in Travis is that we go into the directory, make HTML, which is general like building the docs, and then afterwards I just like putting it back. So these are all the shenanigans, just like putting it back. And then I can deploy to pages, and I will have my page sitting here nicely in our GitHub pages. And yeah, so let me show you how to build your Spanx docs locally first. I think this is useful because if you contribute to a working on Spanx doc today, yes, we just go through. Well, I'm not going to show you live because you need a library to work on it, but I will show you how to build it. And I've just gave you a tour about this code, and we talked about docstring a little bit earlier. So if you want to check back the video, it will be available here on Twitch right after, well, very soon after I finish. But yeah, but if you have questions, feel free to ask now before I, finish the episode. And yeah, so what I'm going to do now, I'm going to show you how to build Spanx locally. Okay, and what I'm going to do now is to stop this Jupyter notebook first. Yes, please, and go to where I'm supposed to go. So where did I put it? Okay. You can see how messy my whole thing is. How my yeah, I'm a super messy person. My room and my computer are both messy. Okay, PyEnv, and where did I put? I think it's called, okay. Oh, activate. Silly me, always forget about that. And right, okay. I'm in the right environment. Clear this junk, and I gotta. So what I gotta do is that, well, I have all these things, right? So I don't know, is it big enough for you to see? I hope it's big enough for you to see. So what I'm going to do is that I would go to so to go to the docs, that's where our Spanx makefile is sitting. So you see here, I have makefile. I hope it's big enough. So I have makefile. I have, all these other things that I've just showed you before. So I just type make HTML, and that's it. And it will just build, running Spanx version 3.0.3. That's what I'm using. And do is running. There is some warning. I don't worry too much about them, and it's telling me that it's done. And the HTML pages are built in build HTML. So let me have a look. So now I have a directory called build. Okay. So you see that we have doc trees, which is generated by, I bet it's either Autodoc or Spanx that is actually holding how the docs, actually the RST, how they should be organized, and their HTML folder there as well. So let's go to HTML, and let me put shit up a little bit so you can see, and do a rs, and yeah, you see that there's an index.html there. So if I want to, so pwd, okay, so let me copy that path to see if I can show it in the browser. And yeah, there and here. Okay, so actually this is the local version. You didn't see the difference, right? Because I haven't changed anything. But yeah, but like, this is, you have to take my word for it. This is what we just generated. I think well, maybe we can make some changes to it. I can just like go back. So to prove that, I'm showing you the local version. Oops, where am I? Okay, let's close this, and let's go to docs, and let's make some changes. So go to our index.rst. So we have this nice tree diagram, but I want to make some changes. I want to add something like, this is my local version. Okay, so I've added a line there, and if we build again, it should reflect the changes. So so let's go back to where we were in the docs and make HTML. Okay, so it should change. And okay, let's refresh this page. Yeah, so you can see that I have this. This is my local version here. Okay, so this is how you generated the Spanx, like the documentation from Spanx locally. This is important to know how to do it, even though you don't have your own library yet. You're not maintaining any library, because sometimes if you want to contribute to a documentation of another open source project, before you push it to push it for review, push it, like send a pull request for the maintainers to review, you may want to generate it locally and check whether you like it first. So you can actually just do this, like what people set up may be slightly different, but I guess most of them are the same, right? If they're using Spanx. They may use other things that is more, that's more crazy, but most of them will be using Spanx. And you can actually go in and see, like, for example, I've just write this connect thing and have a look, whether I like it. Because typo, you can check it in your own IDE, but like you can check whether, let me make it bigger for you. Yeah, I'm coming back here. So yeah, you can come here for example, I just write this. You can see like whether this actually the format I like, whether the example, the format is correct. So yeah, you can check before you push the PR for people to review, and that's very, very, very handy if you know all this stuff and how it works. So that's why I think it's good to do a tutorial on it and kind of make you understand a little bit about all these things. Um, so let me go back to the slides. So I think that's the end. That's an hour already. And sorry that my slides, if you have grabbed it, that is missing a lot of links and references. I will put them back right after because I was in a rush when I was preparing this. I was having a little bit of personal trauma, personal drama, like this morning, and so I'm, not very. But now I feel better after after doing this and chatting with you all. I'm so glad that so many of you are joining this session live, and I'm really happy every time when you guys like you all you folks um, go online and chat with me and um, yeah. So next time I think I would talk about packaging. Well, I have to like wear a helmet because like packaging is a very, very complex topic. What I'm gonna provide is like very basic stuff because I'm also a very basic person that I just like I'm also on my journey of learning. So every time we go to a conference there will be like people really passionate about talking about packaging. You'll learn so much from them. I should really like kind of join in some of these conversation. But what I would do is I provide some basic information about how you set up the Pi and all this stuff to package your library, how you can upload it to PyPI. And hello, Lurk. Yeah, thank you so much for watching. Yeah, and yeah, actually, this is your last chance of asking questions, and because this usually is like when I'm like really focusing on the chat, and people ask me last questions before I go. Um, but yeah, so yeah, I would tell you how all these like packaging stuff work and how you can upload actually your library on PyPI. Um, but I won't cover everything, like for example security or stuff, like very deep topic. I'm not an expert of that, so you may have to find a way to learn it yourself, or just go to a conference and learn from more experienced people. But I promise I can provide very, very basic idea, basic information that for you to get started. Because when I got started I feel difficult, I can't find any like good resources. I just copy what other people do. I don't actually understand what it does. I try to ask my friends, but they are not. We are not living in a close proximity, so like, and at that time it's kind of weird to like have meet people. Now is the norm, but like, yeah, so it's difficult to find help. And yeah, thank you. Sorry, like your name is a little bit difficult to pronounce. Badatha. Yeah, thank you so much. Sorry if I pronounce all your name wrong because I'm so bad. And yeah, oh yeah, MK Docs is, yes, that's another popular one, but I use Spanx, and RST is difficult to handle. And yeah, like actually I think now they're trying to have some compatibility with Markdown. Yeah, for me again, like I found annoying because GitHub use Markdown, GitHub loves Markdown, everything is in Markdown, but Spanx use RST. I think it's more old-fashioned in my opinion. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. And yeah, MK Docs do. I think maybe they do Markdowns, yes, but uh, well, yeah, I mean, like, I think we're trying to like kind of combine them both and like make it more accessible for people. So, yeah, but I really like Spanx. Like so far, it's just like make my life so much easier by people just write doc strings together with the code. Um, that's the best advantage I could think of. And yeah, so that's it. And hope you look forward to the next week about the packaging. And because I think that there is not enough tutorial about packaging online, that I could find a few years ago. So I just start by creating one and spending weekends after weekends to try things and try to make it work. But hopefully I could give you a start so you don't have to struggle so much, and then you can spend more time on more specific stuff. And Meet Pie is going to be this Wednesday. We have scheduled Vincent with us, and Vincent is a very experienced, NLP expert. He's working with Rasa, the library that built chatbot. So I'm so excited. Can't wait. And Lace will be there with me as well. And yeah. So thank you so much, Mark Land. I'm still learning how all these like funny stuff with with Twitch is working, but I guess it's your show of appreciation. So thank you so much. And yeah, so I will see you again next week for the tutorial. Also during the week, Monday we will have Legend of Data. Wednesday maybe Pi like I'm showing here. Friday, well, of Racocraft, basically, using DB with our Python clients to build knowledge graph. And I still need suggestions for all the stuff that what I should be talking about. So just let me know what you love. In the I have a little comment box below that people are not really using them, but you can just like DM me on Twitter. I don't mind. I really love to answer your questions as well. So yeah, thank you for joining me. It's a big party today. I'm very happy, and I will see you very very soon. So bye.